Thank you, Stephanie and RBFF for the continued partnership. And good morning, everyone. Welcome to IBEX 2023. Now, as we look at where things are today, overwhelmingly, recreational boating and fishing remain the #1 contributor to America's outdoor recreation economy and the largest activity in 27 states and the District of Columbia. The pandemic changed how people lived, worked, and played, expanding the outdoor lifestyle in ways we have never seen, resulting in record consumer spending on boats and on a wide variety of other outdoor activities. The latest data from the Bureau of Economic Analysis shows that the outdoor recreation economy generated $862 billion in economic output, accounting for 1.9% of all US GDP, with recreational boating and fishing leading the sector. Now, over the last few years, we've seen waves of Americans participate in boating and fishing, driving massive economic output, supporting tens of thousands of small businesses, including the people in this room, and nearly 1 million jobs. But with any unexpected boom comes an eventual correction. And this year, the industry entered that new phase with shifting market dynamics and economic headwinds. So let's take a look. Historically, new boat sales have mirrored consumer confidence. As confidence wanes, so do sales. There's no question that consumer wallets are being impacted by rising interest rates, the return of student loans, and inflation, all of which dampen boat sales. Remote and hybrid work have benefited outdoor recreation, where people's proximity to the quality of life communities, many of which are right near water, drove higher participation in outdoor activities. However, as competition for the consumer's time and mind share and wallet have returned, maybe best exemplified by the revenge travel trend that drove record US tourism to Europe in 2023, people's time and money for the great outdoors has constricted. Now, while the availability of credit is good, we are seeing the higher cost of credit really drive oversupply of smaller entry-level boat categories. Our industry lags the RV industry by about 6 months, and there's been a significant oversupply in the RV space, sending that indicator into the red. So it's no surprise that marine dealers right now are taking a conservative posture. By the end of the year, total 2023 new boat sales are estimated to end relatively flat with 22, indicating the momentum that we've created over the past few years have helped consumers remain interested in life on the water. But looking at boat types, it's clear that some are faring much better than others. Currently, we're seeing freshwater fish, the pontoon segments, as well as smaller fiberglass boats impacted the most, where some of the larger boats on the higher end and PWCs on the lower end remain relatively healthy, helping keep total unit dollar sales on pace with 22. We're also closely watching pre-owned boat sales, which we're estimating to be down about 10% in 23. We know first-time buyers often enter the market in pre-owned, and further indicating that interest rates are slowing growth across our entire entry-level market. So gone are the days when we had little to no competition. We are back to an environment where we must compete for every dollar, every customer, and attract more consumers to our lifestyle. So NMMA, in partnership with MRA, has been preparing for this moment and refining our Discover Boating strategy to ensure the continued growth and success of recreational boating. It starts by not forgetting that 85 million Americans boat each and every year, driven by an appetite for a wide variety of outdoor experiences, many that you can only find on a boat. And it also starts by recognizing that we have an opportunity to expand our market share, like luxury auto manufacturers have already done, from our current 16% diversity share to something much closer to the national average of 40%. We know boaters come from all walks of life, financial backgrounds, political leanings, and areas of the country. And with younger adults more inclined to spend on experiences, and they value that emotional return on investment that comes from experiences, boating has a unique advantage that can stand out despite economic downturns. Communicating this value is at the very center of our Discover Boating work. Our new strategy with a new brand, the new See You Out Here campaign, along with the full integration of NMMA's boat shows under the Discover Boating banner came together in 2023. And what did we learn? We learned we could transform what used to be roughly a 4 to 5 month marketing campaign with a modest $7 million budget into North America's largest year-round promotional vehicle and market expansion platform within any outdoor recreation sector. This year, we turned Discover Boating into a brand that drove more than 3.6 billion consumer impressions and generated a record $30 million in annual marketing value. That means we touched more people, connected manufacturers and dealers with more buyers, and for every dollar invested by the industry in Discover Boating, NMMA grew that investment fourfold. That's a great return on your initial investment that helps us reach more customers, retain boaters, and connect with upcoming generations as we all compete in what is now an increasingly crowded marketplace. But don't take my word for it. Here's a look behind the scenes at what your team accomplished in 23.
I look back to my dad introducing me to the lake, and all I think about is being able to do the same thing for my kids. When I say I was born on the river, I was born on the river, Hudson River. Going back to my grandfather, Albert Ralph Mann, he was a carpenter by trade, and he actually built his boats. I'm gonna leave you with a parting phrase, and this one comes from my father, George Mann. If the boat's floating, let's go boating.
I mean, there's a little bit for everybody. If you're fishing, if you're water sports, even as a new boater, having the ability to feel everything out before you pull that trigger was a great thing to be able to do.
I'm a girl that loves a boat. The open water is so freeing.
The crowds were amazing. People are interacting with the boats, the exhibitors, the manufacturers, all of the activities, the kids, the families.
Just starts that conversation and starts that thought in your head of life on the water.
Welcome to Discover Boating.
I used Discover Boating to find this amazing pontoon rental to take 2 of my girlfriends out on a 4-hour sunset cruise.
We went out on Alatoona Lake with Discover Boating and had so much fun.
Being out on a boat in the water, man, it's a phenomenal experience.
Boating is a good practice for being present because once you step on here, you have nothing else to think about.
Great job by the team. Thank you, everyone at NMMA, MRA, and Discover Boating. Now, as we stare down the strong headwinds and the increased competition, we invite you to leverage these new year-round Discover Boating resources and the member-owned Discover Boating boat shows in Miami and across the country to promote your brand, sell more boats, and connect with more buyers. This brings me to advocacy, our top strategic priority. And like Discover Boating, it's one of the most important ways that NMMA ensures the growth and success of our industry. We strive to be at every important table that drives public policy on the federal, the state, and the international levels of government, with our most pressing issues right now ranging from access and infrastructure to taxes and trade. Now, over the past few years, recreational boating has been hit on all sides of a lingering trade war with China. Over 300 marine products have been impacted by the Section 301 tariffs during both the Trump and Biden administrations, costing consumers and our member businesses hundreds of millions of dollars. NMMA continues to actively push the current administration to reopen the exclusion process and remove Section 301 tariffs on marine products, and we've been told to expect a decision by the end of this year. As for our trade relationship with Europe, NMMA led the efforts that repealed the 25% retaliatory tariffs on EU and UK American-produced boats. However, the parties have until the end of this month to solidify an agreement to prevent those tariffs from kicking back in. We've expressed our deep concerns to the administration about these tariffs returning, especially as our domestic market slows. And we were assured that the USTR understands the critical importance of preventing a return of punitive EU tariffs on American-made products. Which brings us to NMMA's top federal priority, defeating NOAA's misguided attempts to institute vessel speed restrictions along the entire Atlantic seaboard. Now, under this proposal, all boats 35 feet and larger cannot travel faster than 10 knots, or about 11 miles per hour, within a vast area extending from Massachusetts to central Florida, essentially requiring Americans to risk their vessel and own lives in unpredictable seas by going the speed of a bicycle. Now, these speed zones would extend as far as 90 miles offshore and last for as much as 7 months, deterring boaters and businesses from venturing out to sea. The proposed regulation and now new attempts by environmental groups to expand the concept to the Gulf of Mexico and the Pacific represents the greatest threat and restriction of public access to our nation's waterways in our entire time. So NMMA and a broad coalition of partners are working together to defeat this unprecedented regulatory overreach. Quite frankly, it is a battle we cannot lose. The fact is, no recreational boater wants to see whales injured, and encounters are exceedingly rare. And when a boater is fortunate enough to view a whale, the world stops, as everyone on deck stands in absolute awe of these magnificent creatures. They are essential to ocean health, a resource this industry works tirelessly and spends hundreds of millions to protect. Now, our industry can be both passionate for ocean life conservation and vehemently against an ill-conceived rule that misleadingly lumps all recreational boats into the exact same category as enormous ocean-crossing ships that research shows is the cause of most vessel strike whale deaths. So our coalition has led an introduction of a bipartisan, bicameral legislative proposal that funds NOAA to fully explore real-time monitoring and technological solutions without shutting down public access or coastal economies. We're also pursuing additional legislative tracks that would prevent NOAA from using AIS safety data for enforcement of the existing vessel speed restrictions. And we're also exploring longer-term legislative solutions and, yes, legal options that would address the root cause of the rule, which is basically the weaponization of the Endangered Species Act and the Marine Mammal Protection Act by environmental organizations who wish to place unnecessary restrictions on responsible boaters. We anticipate a NOAA rule could drop any time between now and the end of the year. And boating and fishing stakeholders will continue to present a very strong and unified front to stop NOAA's proposed rule expansion. But meanwhile, we need to get loud and we need everyone's help. On the screen are 4 simple actions you can take immediately to make our collective voices heard. Most critical being continuous phone calls and outreach and letters to your local mayors, congressional delegations, state attorney generals, and the governor. You cannot call and contact these people enough. To help, visit Boating United and coastalrecreation.org for talking points and more information. And you can join us this afternoon at 3:30 p.m. in the Convention Center in room 112 for a panel briefing to learn more about the latest developments on the issue and how you can get involved. So I'd like to leave you with one final thought, especially as we enter what is certain to be a highly contentious and polarizing presidential election year. It seems that every day right now, it's becoming more and more challenging for Americans and our nation to come together. It doesn't have to be like this. As boaters, we all know that when we're on the water, daily stresses subside, ebb away. When we're on a boat, we wave to one another. We help each other, strangers in times of trouble, and we share the greatest of outdoor adventures and memories. For nearly a century, we've been recognized in Washington and around the country as a welcoming and truly bipartisan industry. The power and promise of boating and our unique ability to bring people together and heal and connect is a strategic advantage and an inspirational message that we can all lean into. Research and science shows this, that being on the water, it's good for the mind, the body, and the soul. Earlier this year, NMMA Board Chair Bill Yergin invited renowned author and marine biologist Dr. Wallace J. Nichols to speak to our board about the Blue Mind book and his theory. And his research confirms what many boaters already know and everyone in this room knows. We experience deep emotional, behavioral, and psychological benefits when we participate in our activities. So as we prepare to embark on a challenging new year, let's resolve to spend more time on the water and share the joys and the well-being and the adventure of recreational boating with as many people as we can. It'll be good for our souls, it'll be good for business, and most importantly, it'll be good for America. Thank you and have a successful show.